Right guys, two update videos in God knows how many days. Right, first of all, wow, that was a process, and these adapters are very wobbly, so I'm still worried about this really weak servo. But look at this puppy. That's how it was supposed to look. I need to make that work. Right. Now, I alluded to it in the last video, but I didn't actually cover it all. It went on too long as it was. So, this was the original chassis for, I'm calling it Big Red. It's aluminium. It's very light. Looks to business, but aluminium's difficult to work with, so I broke it in two places. So, I ditched that. Went to steel links. But I was sort of intended to make a proper one using one that somebody else shaped and drilled so that all the holes are in the right places. So I made this for it. Now these are both exactly the right length to fit under that. As you can see, I made my own links, and I'll tell you what, let me tip it on its top and I'll show you. Bear with me. Now, I mentioned it in the last video that I started with this and I got to a point where it was done, but I don't know if you've seen it there, but the axles, this one leans down that way, the one at the back leans down to that corner. None of it is straight. I don't know why them shocks are so cockeyed. You can see the mounts, one's here and then one's all the way over there. I don't even know how I got that so wrong, but now, the two-speed gearbox is designed to fit in the middle there on an FTX Canyon, the one that looks like a big Land Rover. Yeah, so I put it up the front. Now that works. I was very happy with how the inner wings or fenders turned out. But as you can see, these was originally wider. As you can see, it's much wider, so that was the plan. So then when I would change my mind, I decided to go with pre-made parts and just extend the lengths of like the links and the chassis rails. I sort of, then you get bogged down and you get overwhelmed and you just go and throw it to one side. That's the best way to do this hobby, because you come back to it later with fresh eyes and usually it's like, oh my god, how did that? Yeah, so back to this. Right, now the plan was, I mentioned it in the last video, to buy an intact, you can buy what is this bit with the gearbox and all the cross members and the battery tray. You don't get the links, the axles or the motor. Right, now what I was going to do was Frankenstein 2 complete chassis from 3 complete chassis. So I was going to use whatever, the gearbox and the running gear to go in the Land Rover, and the rest of it was going to be, because this one has the running gear, just straighten up the chassis. But I've just been looking, and what I was after, if I put it this way around, I don't know if anybody's seen them, they call it a prefixial gearbox. It sits here, the motor fastens onto it, and it's got like a planetary gear set up inside it. But I've been googling it and they're not built to go at any great speed, and they don't have bearings in, they're bushings, and it's like, so over long running they're gonna fail. So anyway, when I took the top off the Land Rover, which I'll do in a moment, it's not gonna work anyway, and I'll tell you for why. So just let me pause it. I mean, basically this is standard width. It was wider, but I made it standard width. I thought, use all aftermarket parts, I can get this working up and running properly. So that was the plan for that. So yeah, people keep asking me, these are AR60 axles. They're aftermarket ones. They were originally meant to be replacements for the Wraith. I don't even know if they still make the Wraith anymore, or if you can still buy parts for it, but I haven't seen any of these on eBay for ages. People do keep asking me what the axles are. So there you go, they're cheap aftermarket ones. I don't know by what brand. They're probably sort of knockoffs of TFL, which is a high quality brand, but I think they're made in the same company, so they just make them cheap, and then there you go. TFL do all the heavy lifting and someone else just makes them cheap. We reap the benefits or not. Anyway, right, to the Land Rover. Yeah, so my plan, I had a fixed plan. It was a rigid, absolute plan. And then, you know, when you go, oh, moment we realise, no. Right, so take the body off. This is the inside. If anybody, look, surely, if you've heard of the double eagle Defender, 1/8 Defender, you'll have seen inside one. But anyway, this is sort of a TRX4 style setup. Not an exact copy, it's not a clone. But this gearbox here, they're all plastic gears, and if you put any real power into it, they just break. I mean, the motor's here, and the axial X610 style gearbox is here. I think they copied that bit, and then the layout for the TRX, and sort of made this Quasimodo sort of thing in the middle. Anyway, I was going to replace this with one of these pre-fixial gearboxes, which was going to go here. But here's the rub. This skid plate is massive. An SCX10 based chassis is not going to fit under this, and I'm not fabricating all new pieces. And like I said, I'm not up to fabricating. Even here, it's just a bit wider than this at the ends. So the plan was the running gear was going into this, and then I was going to sort of jerry rig parts from both cars to make bumper mounts, and just none of it's going to work on this. But I found an LCG gearbox that is the size of this, but the motor sits here. So I'm using a Fusion SE in this, so I'm ditching the 2-speed, but I'm getting rid of this, and this, and this, and this will all be space with just a gearbox and a motor in the middle, and some wires. So yeah, I'm losing the 2-speed, but if I go to 3S, I'll get myself a 3S battery to power the damn thing. We're laughing because I was planning on, with the gearbox being here, having to go to shorter packs. I don't need them now. I can use normal size lipos because they're designed to fit here. So yeah, I might even be able to have a sound kit in this now, because there was not, despite the size of the thing, there wasn't space for it. Because the only place it would have fit was under the back here. I didn't really want to put it there, but that would have fit. The original Sense Innovations dual ESS1, you can still find them occasionally, would have just fit here with a bit of trimming. So that would have been the only way I could do that. So yeah, that is the plan now. Excuse little tiny wheels, it's that heavy. If you put it on its actual tyres, they just get humongous flat spots. So I'll store it like this. I was also going to use these shockers. So I was a bit surprised because they come with spare springs for adjustment. I was hoping to have really hard spring and a really soft spring so that it sat low, but had full droop on full compression, rather than just these Emax shocks, which they are really stiff, but the thing is top heavy, so it sort of works. Yeah, so it's staying as it is, and the whole chassis was going to be 90 quid, and I bought this gearbox for £25, so hopefully that will solve my problem, and I've now got 65 quid to spend somewhere else. So we'll see, and that's the plan. I just wanted to get this quick update video out because yeah, I've fallen in love with this thing. I don't care if it never works, I'm just going to leave it sat like that. Biggest shelf queen ever. Right, okay, just one thing. I've had several people ask me just exactly how big is this thing, so I've got one to show you. Just bear with me while I get myself set up. Right, so this is my 1/6 scale Ford Excursion, and this is Tamiya Blackfoot. Yeah, that's not the camera distorting it. That is, they are lined up at the front. Look. I mean, just look at the size of the wheels. These are they're 155 wheels, so they're not much bigger than touring car rim, and they're the 3.2 Emax rims. I mean, it practically goes. Well, if I went for the aerial, it almost fits underneath. It actually fits underneath it. Look. So yeah, there you go. People have been asking me. Yeah, that sort of gives you perspective. That's just a bit bigger than a Tamiya touring car, and that's I mean, it's technically 1/6 scale, but I mean, in reality, I don't know what scale it actually is. The Land Rover is supposedly a 1/8. That's actually 1/7. So I'll tell you what, let's get that one in as well. As you can see, the Land Rover is actually not much smaller than the Excursion. I mean, in real terms, they're probably sort of more like this difference to each other. An Excursion, I don't know what the wheelbase is in an Excursion. I know that's 110 inches. UK inches, I don't know if American inches are different. But I think the Excursion's 130, 140, I think. So yeah, actually that might actually be sort of realistic size, right? Anyway, so there you go. People have been asking me for the size differences on these things. When you go from like your 110 crawlers up to this size, even though actual inches there's not much difference, it's just all storage and cost that goes super. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to start tearing this puppy down now. It's going to be a couple of weeks before my new gearbox arrives, so as soon as I've got that back in, we'll get that sorted. Alright, thanks for watching, and bye.